I'm with Dave Miller, the head coach of the Fairmont Firebirds varsity football team. Ready for another tough matchup this week?
Yep.
So let's recap the Centerville game first. What did you see in the Centerville defense that you could exploit with aggressive passing attack, especially 2 touchdowns in the first quarter?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. They're really aggressive. So we saw some things that we thought we could capitalize on, and first play of the game we saw what we wanted and took advantage of it. And Line did a nice job protecting Brock. Brock did a nice job getting the ball to Cameron, and he just did a nice job outrunning the defense, getting in there. So. And then there were some other things too, the second series, third series that we saw develop there, and they're really aggressive. They make you have to earn everything you get. So we took advantage of those things early, and they made some adjustments and kind of took that away from us later. But I felt good about what we did on offense, minus the mistakes. So one of our better nights against them, honestly, which they're hard to come by.
There was an injury to tight end Luke Cheatwood that seemed to have stymied the passing attack. How did this injury change the passing strategy?
I don't think it really. I mean, that injury was unfortunate. Luke's done a great job. He's a 2-year starter, so that hurt us in that department. But, I don't think that had a bearing as much as what they did to adjust to us, and then our adjustment back to that. So. Fortunately, we're going to get Luke back, I think, here before the end of the season. So, we were kind of concerned he might have broken his collarbone. That didn't happen, so that's good. But, it wasn't good. We lost a couple starters that night, including Luke, and that hurt us. But nothing as far as strategy or anything like that.
How hard did you think about playing aggressively at the end of the first half to get in field goal range when the ball was at midfield?
You're about the 40th person that's asked me that. My inclination typically is to be pretty conservative. We had the lead, knowing that they had the ball coming out of half. That kind of played into it a little bit. But I've done that before. I've been doing this a long time, and there are times you start getting aggressive and it backfires on you. And they go down to get a quick score. The first year we played them, we threw a pass. 2016, it was incomplete. They call a time. Well, they didn't have to call a timeout there, but next play they call a timeout. They get the ball with a minute left. They go down and score. And at that point, we were up on them. I think 14-7 or something like that. They tie it up. So those type of things kind of stick with you. And we were moving the ball pretty well. So we could have probably been a little more aggressive, but we didn't have a lot of time. So just that, like I said, that's kind of more how we do things overall, just our philosophy. So
overall, you held Centerville to just 200 yards. How pleased were you with the defense?
They did a good job. We put them in tough situations, and they bailed us out. I think they only really have one drive, going from their territory or deep in their territory. They got a reverse play on us. We were over pursuing, and they scored at the end of the half there. So outside of that, our defense played pretty well.
Now it's on to Wayne, and they've struggled on offense after Tyrell Lewis went out in the first game. Do you prepare as if he were back, or do you prepare for the other quarterbacks, Hunter and Graham?
He's got to prepare like we prepare. I mean, it's unfortunate. He was a really good quarterback. I don't know how long he's out. He could be back Friday, so we have to be ready, for that. They have talent all over the place. Their 4 receivers have all received D1 offers. Number 8 is he's special. He was second in the state in the 100. As a freshman. So he's a sophomore right now. So we are obviously going to have our hands full. We've against them every year. It's like you hold your breath anytime those guys have the ball. Running back's outstanding. He's a great kid on top of being a really good athlete, and they're good up front. So you don't have to be a great quarterback. With that kind of cast. So our job is clear. We have to do what we do and try to keep them on the sideline as much as possible. And no matter who's in there, that's got to be our MO.
Isaiah Thompson has more than 500 yards rushing in 3 games. What do you see on film that makes him so tough?
Well, he's played since he was a freshman, and I think he's in really good shape now. You can see. I mean, he's phenomenal. And I've heard about him. He played AAU basketball with our quarterback, so I've heard of what a great kid he is. Great family that he comes from, and he's just tough. So. Like I said, I didn't like thinking about it. I don't like talking about it because they're so explosive. They can just beat you in one play. So we have to play Firebird defense and make them earn it. As much as possible and keep them on the sideline. That's what we have to do.
Okay, and we weren't able to speak with Coach Mukes this week, so I've added a few other questions here. We're going to go into JV,
Okay.
and let's update that. First of all, what is the rule where you dress and play someone for a Friday night that compromises the ability for the JV game, or do the varsity and JV rosters have to remain as separate each week?
No, they're the same, and what you look at is quarters, overall quarters. They can only play 50 quarters in a regular season. So basically, it's a 5-quarter rule for the most part. Now you can kind of get around that a little bit, as far as the week. They say consecutive plays, so we have to really track that, and we do, to make sure that we're not playing kids that played a lot on Friday, in Saturday games. But the overall total cannot be more than 50, so 5 quarters a week, that's the OHSAA rule, so we stick to that. And we have some guys that, that do play on Saturdays, and it just depends on what happens Friday night, how we deal with that.
Can you give us an indication, first of all, on offense? Who has caught your eye on the JV level?
Well, beginning with our backup quarterback, J.J. Hill, he's done a great job. He's a junior. He plays some wide out and some DB for us on Friday and plays special teams, so he's one of those special guys that, very intelligent kid, maybe one of the most intelligent quarterbacks I've ever coached. So he knows everything inside and out. Overcomes, maybe some limitations physically, with just how smart he is, and he's a good athlete. Don't get me wrong, but him right away. We've had guys like Dominic Jett, who's playing some DB, playing some halfback. We moved him to halfbacks. We had some injuries. He stepped up in a big way. AJ Culbertson, he's an all-around guy for us on offense. Connor Robinson, is kind of moving him around. He played corner, played a little wide out. We moved him to some linebacker, strong safety. So he's kind of seen a lot of different places there. Up front, for us on offense, Ben McElvain, he's played tight end for us on varsity Friday night because of Luke getting hurt. He had to come in, and he's filled in great there as a sophomore. I'm missing a bunch. I hate doing that because those are just guys that come to mind. There's so many of them that, we talk to them, we watch the film, and what you show on Saturdays is going to determine what you do on Friday. Demetrius Wynn, he's another one. This week, because of the injury to Chase Ford, at strong safety, we've moved him over to defense. He's a runner. The kid's a runner. I've been telling our defense coaches, don't get too used to him being over there because he can run. So he's played some fullback for us, some halfback, and now they're working him at free safety a little bit. But what he's shown in practice, is just a, kind of a one-speed guy. He goes hard all the time, and almost so much on pregame on Friday night, we're telling him you got to slow down because you're over on scout team, you're going to hurt somebody. But I'd rather have that than the other way around, where you have to get them going. So just to name a few, we've got a good group there.
So I'm kind of curious as to how the football program at Fairmont works. I know you got JV, or you got the varsity, you got JV. I guess you have freshmen.
Right.
How far back do you go to start finding players?
Well, our freshmen go with us, so that's kind of different. When I was in high school, in big schools, typically what you do is you take your freshmen and they're separate. Our freshmen go with us from the word go. Now, we treat them a little different. It's a freshman mind that we're dealing with. For instance, we have, Reagan Hefner, freshman quarterback that dresses all of our varsity games. There's some packages that he's involved in really right now that we're discussing, but Friday nights, so he's a really talented young man, can throw the ball, and really has done a great job for us. Josiah Hargraves, another one, playing wide receiver. He dresses every Friday night as well. And is, right there, he's going to be pretty special, down the road. You can see, and both those guys are great kids. So those guys are with us every day. They're getting varsity coaching. A portion of our varsity staff, take them on Saturdays and go with them with the freshman games. And my small school experience kind of gives me that. I contemplated it. early on we had them go by themselves, and I just didn't feel like, I didn't like having them too far away from us, and I just didn't, at that point, I didn't feel like we were going the right direction with that. So what I've always done when I was at Covington and Twin Valley South, the freshmen were always with us. Now, unfortunately for them, they play JV. Now, for our guys, what's great, kind of the best of all worlds, they're playing freshmen. I will not play guys up on JV. That's if they're freshmen, they're either going to play varsity on Friday night or they're going to play freshmen. I want them together as a group. And this group has really grown. I mean, they didn't start off, they had a rough weekend against Elder. We brought them in after our altar game where we were together. They played Elder by themselves, and they got educated, but they've responded, and really been very competitive in the last 2 games, and they're excited, about Fairmont football. So, really love the direction they're going. I think that they're going to be a good group. I wasn't sure about them at first, but there's some good kids in there. So I like it. Our varsity coaches get a chance to coach them. Obviously, they don't get the reps during the week because we have to dedicate that more to our varsity kids and next stops. But they're right there. They're seeing everything. They're getting coached the same way pretty much. And then they get to play together on Saturdays. I can't think of a better way to do it.
All right, Coach. Well, that takes care of our interview for this week. And I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with me again. And good luck on Friday night.
Thank you. We'll need it.